In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the Xilorians, an advanced alien race, had conquered countless planets. They prided themselves on their superior intellect, technology, and their ability to dominate any species they encountered. On one such world, a planet called Varos, they had encountered a species that had baffled them. Varos was home to a terrifying creature known as the Vorgrath, towering over 12 feet, with thick, leathery skin and claws. Sharp enough to tear through steel, the Vorgrath was the apex predator of the planet. Its bloodthirsty nature made it nearly impossible to approach, and even the Xilorians, with their advanced weaponry, had difficulty keeping the beast under control. The Xilorians had studied the Vorgrath for years, observing it from a distance, trying to understand how such a vicious creature could survive in the harsh environment of Varos. They feared it, respected it, but ultimately saw it as just another piece of the puzzle in their efforts to subjugate the planet. But everything changed when the humans arrived. The humans were a curious species, new to the galaxy, but already proving themselves to be surprisingly resourceful. The Xilorians had not expected much from them. They were primitive compared to the Xilorians, unfamiliar with the wonders of intergalactic travel, relying on basic tools and weapons. But the Xilorians had made a grave mistake in underestimating them. It all began when a small human exploration team landed on Varos. The Xilorians observed the humans from a distance, curious about how they would interact with the planet's harsh environment and its most dangerous predator, the Vorgrath. The humans, with their limited technology, had come with the sole mission of studying new life forms. They had no plans to confront the Vorgrath directly, but one young human, a woman named Sarah, had other ideas. Sarah was known among her team for her adventurous spirit and her ability to connect with animals, something that had always baffled her fellow humans. As Sarah explored the planet's wild terrain, she stumbled upon a Vorgrath that had become injured, its foot trapped in a rock slide. It was howling in pain, its massive eyes filled with rage. The Xilorians watched from their hidden observation posts, amazed at how the human had approached the creature without fear. Sarah knelt next to the beast, her calm demeanor contrasting sharply with the wild animal's fury. She spoke softly, her voice a whisper against the howling winds of Varos. The Vorgrath's eyes narrowed, its primal instinct screaming at it to strike, but something about Sarah's presence caused it to hesitate. The Xilorians, who had been studying the creature for decades, were stunned. They had never seen the Vorgrath act in such a way. The apex predator, always quick to attack, always merciless, was now hesitant, almost submissive. Sarah gently touched the Vorgrath's head, the huge creature flinching at first, but soon relaxing as her hand moved in slow, soothing motions. The humans had no knowledge of the Vorgrath's habits or anatomy, but somehow Sarah knew exactly how to calm it. The Xilorians, from their distant observation posts, could only watch in disbelief. For the next few hours, Sarah stayed by the Vorgrath's side. She didn't attempt to escape or to harm it, even when it bared its teeth in warning. Instead, she continued to pet it, humbling the creature with each soft stroke of her hand. Eventually, the Vorgrath's fierce growls subsided, and it closed its eyes, resting peacefully for the first time in hours. The Xilorians, who had been prepared to witness the end of this human's life, found themselves in shock. The humans had achieved what they thought was impossible. They had tamed the apex predator of Varos, not with weapons or technology, but with something much simpler: empathy. News of the event quickly spread throughout the Xilorian fleet. Senior commanders convened, and a decision was made to confront the humans. Their species had always been seen as weak and primitive, but what had just transpired on Varos challenged everything the Xilorians believed about humanity. Led by their commander, a tall Xilorian named Thrax, a group of aliens descended upon Varos, ready to capture Sarah and her team. They were determined to see if their species could harness the same power that the human had shown, but they were also curious to understand how a mere human could tame such a beast. When they arrived on the planet, they found Sarah standing near the Vorgrath, which was now lying peacefully at her feet. The creature had healed from its injury, and its gaze followed Sarah like that of a loyal companion. Thrax approached cautiously, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. "Human," he called out, his voice booming. "You have done the impossible. How did you tame the Vorgrath?" Sarah didn't flinch at the sound of his voice. Instead, she looked up and smiled. "It wasn't taming," she said softly. "It was understanding. Every creature has its fears and pain. You just have to listen to them." Thrax, a being who had never known fear or empathy, stared at Sarah with a mixture of confusion and awe. "You speak of something we do not understand." "That's because you don't listen," Sarah replied. "You conquered, you fight, but you never truly connect. Maybe that's why you failed to control the Vorgrath. Maybe that's why you can't understand humans." The Xilorians fell silent. Their greatest fear, the Vorgrath, had been calmed by a human, not with force, but with compassion. It was a truth that rattled them to their core, and for the first time in their history, the Xilorians realized that perhaps it wasn't technology or strength that made a species powerful. It was the ability to understand, to connect, and to care.